way back from the political and moral abyss that we face. Edward Kennedy was a deeply flawed man, for which he was reviled. But for all his faults, he was a good man, a caring man, an empathetic man, a man who sought to make this a better world. His were faults of the flesh, not the soul. He is arguably, an argument I have tried to make, the most consequential public servant of the last 50 years, and the one who did more to help his fellow men and women than any other in that period. To the extent we reflect upon him and his times, I hope that perhaps, albeit in some small way, his political life might serve as a model for future public servants and for citizens generally, that it might remind us of our better selves, that it might show us how one individual can provide a ripple of hope in what seems an angry ocean of hopelessness, that it might challenge the ugliness that seems to have overtaken us, and finally, that it might move us to rediscover our virtue and restore our nation's moral purpose when it is under assault. Introduction. A Countervailing Wind. In that tense school year that ran from the fall of 1974 to the spring of 1975, Boston seethed as federal Judge W. Arthur Garrity, Jr. tried to enforce a plan to desegregate the city's schools, and scores of white parents resisted the attempt, resisted it angrily, forcefully, resentfully, and even violently, until the seething erupted into explosion. Among the angriest, most forceful, resentful, and even violent of those parents was 43-year-old Elvira Palladino, or Pixie as she was known. But Palladino was no pixie. Though small of stature, she was loud, tough, coarse, vulgar, unfiltered, impolitic, and impolite. She once gave a Monsignor who supported busing the Sicilian kiss of death, more a hellion than a sprite. Some called her Garbage Mouth. The daughter of immigrants from the south of Italy, her father had worked in a shoe factory, and she sewed stitches in a clothing factory herself, which was where she met her future husband. Even after she became a civic leader, helping rouse those furious white parents against the establishment, she preferred to think of herself as a mother. She had 2 school-aged children, and it was her children who had brought her to the forefront of the anti-busing movement that year as the head of the East Boston chapter of Restore Our Alienated Rights, or ROAR, a perfect acronym for an organization that shouted down proponents of busing. Palladino was blunt. She did not want her children bussed out of East Boston, nor did she want black children bussed in. Races shouldn't mingle, she said. She had led a contingent at the anti-busing rally on Boston's City Hall Plaza on September 9, 1974, 3 days before the opening of the schools and at the beginning of implementation of the desegregation plan, a rally at which Senator Edward Kennedy, who supported the court desegregation order, had foolishly waded into the restive crowd, hoping to calm them, and instead incited them, so that he was forced to retreat and race into the federal office building named for his brother John under a torrent of vitriol and a hail of missiles, including a raw egg. And Palladino had led another contingent the following spring, as tensions over busing were still thick, this one in front of South Atlantic High School in Quincy, where Ted had made a speech and where angry protesters massing outside deflated the tires of his car, rubbed dog feces onto the car's door handles, and chased him down the street when he exited the building, screaming at him until he raced into a subway station, leaped through the doors of an incoming train, and survived. A photo of another rally showed Palladino being forcibly carried away by 2 policemen. All that year, and into the next, at speeches and hearings and meetings, Palladino, sometimes wearing a tam-o'-shanter over her curly black hair, sometimes wearing a Stop Forced Busing t-shirt, showed up to harass Ted Kennedy, harass him for forsaking the white working class of Boston and favoring black people whom she called pickaninnies and jungle bunnies. First among his tormentors, the political scientist Ronald Formisano, who wrote a book about the Boston busing acrimony, would call Pixie Palladino due to her hostility to Ted Kennedy. Ted agreed, saying that she seemed to pop up wherever he was, shouting at him at the top of a